seat take?
Nobody's in the seat that I ain't taking, son.
So this is, Sabacc?
Sabacc.
Yo, what is up, guys? Welcome back to Sabacc the Block, the official First Cut Star Wars show. We are here to break down Andor's episode 7 through 9. This arc was insane. We are here to break it down in our spoiler discussion. I am here with RB3 to do that. RB3, I feel like there are almost no words, but we're going to try and find the words, at least in my opinion, for what we just witnessed on these past few episodes of Andor. But I want to get straight to it, straight to your overall thoughts. Obviously, they're releasing these in arcs and chunks of 3 episodes. So I'm going to get your overall opinion on on these last 3 episodes of Andor.
Man, these were top tier. I mean, these were brutal. It was hard to watch and sometimes. But these are probably, the best 3 set of episodes that we've gotten of Andor, you know what I'm saying? Just as an arc. Now there are episodes that, like the prison escape from season 1, which is also episode 8 of that season. So the episode 8 are where they really kind of peak in my opinion. That individual episode I still say is like really amazing, and there are some individual moments in Andor season 1 that are amazing, but these past couple, this whole arc was just absolutely incredible.
Absolutely incredible, man. I remember first watching this. So full disclosure, I saw these pretty early. I saw this like a month back, I want to say, and when I first saw it, I was losing my mind. I really did feel like I was witnessing something so special, and something, to be honest, man, the biggest thing, and I know this has been the topic and this is what I've been tweeting about and this is what a lot of people have been talking about, but the biggest thing is the relevancy, is just the fact that this show hits so freaking hard to like right now, more than any other show I've seen in a minute. This is like raw, real stuff that I feel like the show is tackling, and they're doing it so well, and they're doing it so efficiently, explicitly, and explaining it so well. I don't know, man. I just feel like this show's really expertly written and crafted in a manner that you can talk about real stuff that's going on and real stuff that has gone on, and do it in a beautifully constructed manner. So shout out to Tony Gilroy, shout out to the entire cast and crew of Andor, because I really do feel like this is special stuff that we're witnessing.
Yeah, shout out Tony Gilroy. Shout out Dan Gilroy, who I believe wrote 1 or 2 episodes in this arc. I mean, he might have written all 3. But that's obviously Nightcrawler is one of your favorites.
Yeah, that's right. Yeah, and he did the Denzel Washington movie, right?
Which one?
Didn't he do that Denzel Washington movie, the one where he's a lawyer, Roman-esque Israel or something like that?
I didn't watch that.
Okay.
Yeah, his teeth was looking ugly in that movie. But it was phenomenal. You know what I'm saying? Yeah, the relevancy of it. I know sometimes it's controversial to talk about the Palestine, Gaza conflict that's happening. You know what I'm saying? But it's just too on the nose. It's just too relevant to what was happening there. And of course, shout out to Fofi Lacrix Lucater in the chat. Good name. They are saying we missed the point completely. It wasn't about he says doesn't represent that. It's supposed to be the French Revolution. Their language even sounds French. I mean, and I say you can interpret that in a lot of ways. There's the French Revolution. There's the rise of
Haitian Revolution.
Revolution. The rise of the Algiers in
Italy.
Algerian Revolution. So, and frankly, what this was, particularly with, this wasn't even a revolution. They were just having a peaceful protest. They didn't even. I feel like a revolution is something where both sides gets kind of violent. And I mean, they did get violent in the fact that some of the rebels were like shooting back and they were attacking the armories and whatnot. But that's not like the true violence that the Empire was imposing, with their thumb. So, yeah, and it's one of those moments that really radicalized those people. Now it's funny. Now, of course, last week I talked a lot about how the Gormans are kind of rich and snobby, and why do they need saving and whatnot. But after seeing the destruction of their people, their civilization, right then and there, was like, man, I do feel like this is something that's relatable. And yeah, whatever revolution or rebellion or just straight out anything like that, y'all want to interpret it as y'all can. But
Yeah, here's the thing, man. This is what people don't understand, man. We can debate this all day. We can have arguments about this all day. I talk about the relevancy, the timeliness. There's also timelessness, right? Timelessness means that this is keep happening. This is history, man. History repeats itself.
For sure.
We see the genocide of the Native Americans. We see the genocide of so many different people. And so many times we're afraid or we disengage with it. We nitpick it. We start to say, well, they came in and took the land, and this person actually threw a rock and a bow and arrow, so that's why they justified the genocide. And it's like, bro, it is what it is. Like, this has been happening throughout history for so many years. Colonialism, the elimination of a group of people, prejudice, all this stuff that Star Wars is talking about, and Andor specifically is talking about, has been going on for so long. It doesn't mean that it doesn't apply directly to what we're seeing right now. Because that's what happens, and that's what's been happening. That's why a lot of Palestinians you talk to don't necessarily refer to this specifically as a specific moment, but instead a continuation of what's been going on. They call this the second Nakba, right? This is something that they've seen for a while, and they're just seeing it again in a bigger scale. I think we should stop being afraid of saying this is applying to right now because, actually it applies to the 1973, 1675. It doesn't matter, bro. This is history that's repeating itself. And we're seeing it happen again and again and again. And that's the whole point. The whole point is to say, wait a minute, when is this enough? When are we going to be tired of seeing the same thing happen again?
Yeah, no, that's facts. That's facts. It's nothing but facts, man. Yeah, and then, that's what good storytelling is. It tells a story, that relates to not just the past, the present, and the future, So, this was a great set of episodes. I mean, that was episode 8. That's not even talking about what was, leading up to that in episode 7.
I can't lie, man. This is it. This is where we can get to the fun stuff. I love that this mission, it comes in from Will. Shout out to the homie Wilmon.
Yeah.
He's like, yo, I got a mission from Luthen. And Cassian's like, I'm done with Luthen. And he's like, no, you're going to like this one. We're going to go to Gorman and kill Dedra.
Right.
This is literally a hit job. And I love that. I was like, what? The whole mission is just to shoot this girl. Shoot this lady in the face. And call it a night, and then peace out of the planet. What'd you think of that setup as far as Cassian going there specifically to kill her, both like low-key, both for like vengeance, but also to like get her out of everyone's backs because she's after the rebellion.
Yeah, stop being hunted. Yeah, I mean, it's like the hunted or the hunter. You know what I'm saying? Yeah. And like he was definitely trying to get the one up while. He had her in his crossbows, like literally. And it was close. I mean, there's times I'm like, yo, just take the shot, bro, right there.
I was screaming, bro. Yeah. I was like, shoot.
She'll walk outside for like 2 seconds and then turn right back around like, dog, no, like keep it locked. But then of course the revolution was starting to build up and stuff. And then, I guess we are kind of spilling into episode 8 too, but like when Cyril starts, you always know a character's about to die in the show when they start spiraling a little bit, and we definitely start to see his spiral. He's starting looking around. He really got disillusioned with the Empire. You know what I'm saying? He kind of saw the kind of atrocities that he was going to be involved in. And to Deidre's credit, she was too. Like, she was not really vibing with the measures they were going for. I mean, she knew, but she didn't know it was going to be so blatant, so, disgustingly brutal kind of situation. But yeah, even she was like, I don't know in some parts. And then I had to text you immediately when I saw my man Cyril. He,
Yeah.
he put his hands around homegirl. First of all, he grabbed her shoulders all tough and was like shaking. I'm like, oh dang! Like, and she's like, you hurting me? I'm like, yo, damn, Cyril kind of manned up a little bit, and he just straight choking her. I'm like, yo, that's crazy. Like, yo, I never thought I'd see like. I mean, do we count that as domestic abuse? I mean,
he's been facing domestic abuse.
I mean, that's what I was gonna say. It's been on the flip side, so it was kind of like the Tina Turner in the movie. You know what I'm saying? What's the love got to do with it? Like after all that beating, she gets back whooping Ike with the belt. That's what kind of felt like for Cyril. So yeah, that was a crazy moment right there,
bro. I low key wanted her to kill her right then and there, bro. I was like, yo, kill her, bro. Might as well.
That would have been a crazy twist. That would have been that would have been some House of Cards stuff right there, honestly. Yeah. And then of course Cyril finally faces off of Andor for the first time. Like this has been something that's been in the making for, the whole season and a half basically. He finally faces off to him, like super tough fight. They fighting like crazy.
Yeah, fighting crazy.
And then finally Cyril gets the best of Andor. I did not see that coming. Like
I didn't see that either, bro. Yeah. I'm low key still salty about that, bro. That's the bad writing right there. No,
I was just like, bro.
I was like, bro, what did he start like doing like? CrossFit. When did he start like getting boxing lessons? Homie has been like kind of derpy for years, and all of a sudden he's like freaking Rambo. What the hell, bro?
I mean, look, this is arch enemy right here. This is number one. He's been thinking about this day for a minute. So then he finally gets him, and then Andor just hits him with the, who are you? Like the coldest line, like yeah. And Cyril kind of thought about it for a second, like wait.
He was like, "Hey, yo, what?"
This is the most one-sided beef of all time, man. So good, man. So good, so good.
I love it. I love how he got shot at the end and he died. And yeah, man, he take that L, bro. Take that L. For real, man. I'm so glad he's gone. I have no love. You know me, bro. I had no love for Cyril. And obviously he definitely became, depressed and sympathized at the end. But too little, too late, bro. You should have realized what you were doing this whole time. Yeah. He just didn't want to open his eyes to it. And it's the same with Deidre, too, because Deidre can give like a stern, like, this is kind of bad. And that's kind of it, but you're still going with it. And then at the end, you're going to celebrate it and try to forget about it. I don't know. I'm still very much team, like, I can't wait till she gets shot. So that's just me. I still remember season 1, bro, when the crowd was jumping on her.
Oh, yeah.
And I was like, yo, take her out, bro.
Right. And that's when Cyril put her out. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah, and I was singing the Baby King, the beat him up. Yeah. Beat him up. Beat him up. Or now with Sinners, bro, the Jamie Lawson pale moon, and I was like, yo, pale stomping out Didra. That was season 1, bro. So we don't know what's gonna happen to her in season 2. We don't know.
I mean, I definitely feel like, she got this. She's definitely biting the dust because we don't see.
She's gonna get a Cornelia Snow from Hunger Games.
Oh yeah, something like that. Yeah, some sort of public something. Yeah, I'd be very, I just want to see. I'm very curious to see how it goes down. You know what I'm saying? Because I just, I know, she's never mentioned in Rogue One. I think that's what was also the fun part about this arc too, is that we started to see the Rogue One connections come through a lot more. We obviously knew Mon Mothma was part of Rogue One. But we see more of that story kind of develop, and and we never really see Cassian and Mon Mothma really confront each other all that much before, like this episode too. So it's also kind of like bridging those stories together. The development of Yavin is great. Seeing that Luthen still being Luthen, plotting and kind of sneaking behind people's backs. I love how Luthen told Ma, like, yo, get your man's the assistant. He's been working for me the whole time. And she's like, what? Like, she's like, can I trust anybody? Like, nah. Only trust me right now. And then low-key Luthen was right, but
yeah, he was right the whole time, bro. Yeah. Assistant came through, Cassian came through, homegirl, bro, I can't say it, but I guess I might as well say it. When I rewatched the episode, because I saw this the first time, but I didn't even notice this. Indian homie pulled up and he was like, "Yo, what's up?" Locked in. A white lady pulled up, and she was like, "Yo, what's up?" I'm locked in. And then a black homie pulled up, and I was like, "It's the white lady."
Yeah,
She's the Imperial spy.
yeah.
But yeah, it was one of Bale's teams that was corrupted, one of his team members.
That's right. Yeah, yeah. And that was crazy seeing Bell. Like, you think like that, and Luthen kind of told him like, "Yo, Bell's team's corrupted." Like, I'm like, dang,
Yeah.
Bell's on the bad side, but now he was on the good side. It was just the one lady who was in that, So
He meant like somebody's undercover in his ops unit. Yeah.
got it.
That's what he meant. Yeah. He meant like, somebody has like infiltrated his unit, and he's like, I don't know who, but you can't go with him. So it's not like they could single her out and all that. So but yeah, man, let's get to that, because I feel like this episode, let's start with episode 8, because I feel like it does what a good setup as far as telling you what exactly is going to happen, which is the Gorman Massacre. And this is the Gorman Massacre that's been canon for years. And that's been talked about in Rebels. It's been talked about in other Star Wars media, but they set it up in a manner in which this is all completely fabricated. They start out the episode, I believe, with a bombing that they were like, "Oh, the rebel bombings," and then they say like, "What bombings? Like, we've been here this whole time." Like, even Cyril is like, "Yo, my sources say they weren't even around last night. Like, nobody was there." So it's like a fabricated assault for them to level up the continual elimination of Gorman. And that's where it levels up so quickly, and it escalates in that square to where they set up a trap zone, a literal like kill zone, after a peaceful protest. And this is a kill zone where, to me, RB3, what's really cool is because they have all this anticipation, right? And then you have Homie, the leader, the older revolutionary guy who's leading the Gorman front, kind of freaking out about like, oh my God, are we all gonna die? And his kids and the rest of his crew is going anyway. But then we see one of the coolest shots, I think, in Star Wars, and it might mean so much. Homie with the scope, literally go.
Yeah,
remember that?
Yeah.
He goes, and he looks like he's gonna shoot someone in the crowd, and it turns to one of his Imperial troopers, and all of it is just a setup. And what'd you feel about the massacre, the setup of it? The escalation of it, going from this peaceful demonstration against the Empire and turning into this massacre that's been justified by the Empire.
Yeah, again, something that just feels very real, very true to like American history, very true to like a world history, Again, going even to, we're talking international politics, but even like, stuff like the Civil Rights Movement, you know what I'm saying? Like, they would just open fire, hose down, innocent people. Yeah, it's a lot. I mean, you could take a bajillion metaphors from it and just go with it, but the way it was filmed and executed was also brilliant. Like you said, like seeing the perspective from like the scopes and like how it kind of unfolds from like pretty much everybody's perspective. The one thing is like in the most of it, Andor's kind of not. He's kind of a passive character through a lot of it. You know what I'm saying? So you're kind of really just observing it in the same way he's kind of like observing everything. But yeah, when it hits the fan, it like, that's when it really like, really hits hard, and, it's tough. It's tough to watch. It's tough to witness just knowing, how real to life this is. I mean, there's also that famous incident in, Iraq where, I can't remember if it was Iraq or Afghanistan, but famous international incident where a bunch of U.S. military people took, people into the middle of a square and took them out. I think it was like Blackstone or something like that. Anyway, yeah. The realness of it really hurt, but the way it was visualized was beautiful. The way it was directed. I don't know who directed episode 8. Let me double check that right now. But just brilliant all the way around,
Yeah, it really is like the escalation of madness and horror, similar to kind of what we got on Ferrix Road, but even more elevated in my opinion, when it comes to the brutality of it and to the setup of it, because it really is jarring, man, to see like a bunch of ladies get shot in the face and stuff.
Yeah.
And they make it really aggressive, which is the whole point. You see people freaking out. Homie who was just screaming the whole time. I don't know if you saw that homie.
Yeah.
The shaved head homie, he just kept screaming. And that's like real. He just was like, until he got shot and killed. And then obviously the biggest one for me, obviously all the shooting and running around and trying to shoot back and fight back. But when you realize they're being trapped, and then on top of that, when they release the KX units, it's almost like a horror movie.
Yeah.
They start directing it like a horror movie. The cuts are very horror reminiscent. The bodies flying everywhere. It feels kind of obviously all they would have to add is blood, and it would be like, monsters attacking a crowd kind of thing. Very horror movie.
Yeah. Yeah. No, indeed. That's literally how intense it was, how visually intense it was. By the way, these 3 episodes were directed by Giannis Metz. I like that each arc is like actually written by 3 people, written by separate people, and like directed by different people. You know what I'm saying? Like they all are kind of really self-contained. Written by Dan Gilroy, directed by Giannis Metz. I'm looking at this guy's IMDb. Like, you know how on TV they usually get a bunch of guys who do a lot of TV shows and stuff. This guy has done TV work, but he's mostly a movie guy. In fact, one of his movies was an award winner at Cannes. So it's like, dog, they don't play around like with getting top tier talent for this show, man. I'm kind of messing with that. And of course, Dan Gilroy, like we talked about, Nightcrawler, all that kind of stuff. And yeah, they spare no expense. I mean, I'll say even too, like, even the basic Star Wars stuff, like seeing people get on and off ships. Like there's a shot beginning of episode 7 of Wilmot, like stepping off of the ship.
Yeah,
like,
the first shot.
Yeah, literally like the first few shots. Like all of that looks so gorgeous, bro. Like it looked like really, really high. When they're in Yavin at the base camp, the whole base camp looks like a full set. The Gorman set looks like a cool set. Even in episode 9 with the Senate Hall, that kind of like, I don't know what that building's called in Sydney, Australia, but that curvy looking building in Australia, it kind of resembled that a little bit. All the sets and everything look super, super crazy, like super, super cinematic all the way through and through.
I think it's the Sydney Opera House, maybe.
Yeah, that situation. Yeah.
Yeah, it really is, man. It really is spectacularly directed. There's one shot in episode 8 that I've kind of caught that I didn't catch before. That's the oneer that goes. It follows Cassian walking up the stairs in the square, and he's walking around, looking around, and then it shows right at the corner of the camera. It shows Cyril walking back, and then it follows Cyril walking down the stairs. Did you catch that? I was like, yo, that's kind of cool.
Yeah, crossing paths.
Little stuff like that is really cool, and it really does inspire a lot. This past few episodes were just brilliant, man. The episode ends obviously with Wilmon and the girl giving that cry for help and asking for help, and that to me was the realest of the entire episode, because obviously the massacre, we've seen a lot of action movies, a lot of horror movies, but the acting, the writing behind her little speech, her little cry for help, and then Cassian crying as he listens to it. Cassian sheds a tear, and homie's like the hardest homie. Cassian's always hard as hell, but he sheds a tear at the end of episode 8. How'd you feel about that ending, as far as her cries for help, and then the shot of Cassian just quietly crying?
Yeah, it's I keep saying it's real, but it's brutal, like it's reminiscent of when we see footage or videos of things coming out of these war-torn countries, and like, dang, man, all you can do is just kind of sit and listen, and yeah, it's just it's an emotional beat. Yeah, again, we really don't see, like you said, we don't see Andor emote that much, so even seeing them give that kind of reaction was tough. Again, he really was like me in the beginning. Like, he didn't really care about the Gorman. He really thought like they were just some whatever throwaway group, but or planet. But yeah, now they experience some real tragedy that really radicalized them, I'm thinking. And I think that's probably going to be a big money portion of how the rebellion is going to be able to kick off going forward. Because we enter in the last year before we meet in Rogue One. And by the time Rogue One is set up, like, there's a real strong rebellion core funding behind it, multiple ships. Like right now, we're just kind of seeing the beginning. So it's kind of interesting seeing where it goes to the end. Also, the end, seeing them run over the KS unit or the unit, and then Cassian kind of being like, "Dang, like this thing is dangerous. Let me take that home real quick. Like, let me see what we can do with that real quick." So end up packing that up and setting up for what we see in episode 9. You know, the return of KSO2. That's his name?
K2SO.
K2SO. That's it. Yeah. So good stuff. Good setup.
Yeah, it really is. Listen to episode 9, which, to be honest, man, it might be a hot take. I prefer 9 over 8.
Oh, really?
Yeah, I love 9. 9 to me killed me, man. Because 9 is more like, I love that this entire episode is all about, it's very much like espionage, thriller, and it's all about like espionage and thriller about a speech. And I was like, yo, all this for a speech, bro. The whole time, they're like, they're ready? What's going on? Is she ready? Is she coming on? Where is she? What's going on? What is she going to say? And it's just a speech. And it's like 30 minutes of setup for a speech. And I love it. Yeah, this episode absolutely killed me, man. I love the idea of Mon's defiance being such a respected moment inside the rebellion, right? That's the one thing, because it really hit home in the beginning of the episode when Cassian is like, you know what? He talks to Clea. And Clea, already I've talked to you about her. That's the Luthen assistant. I think she's the hardest one. Like, she's crazy. You can tell she's absolutely insane when it comes to just being hard for the rebellion. She would kill like 100 people if it would help the rebellion. And when she was like talking shit to Cassian, and he's like, "Oh, you done? You gonna cry?" Like, and she starts going hard at him, and then she gives props to Mon. She's like, "This lady is about to risk it all with this badass speech." And you're saying you're done. And I was like, oh, damn, she's giving credit to Mon. which is
kind of hilarious, because he literally did just watch a genocide.
I know.
From his very eyes.
But to be fair, she uses that. I rewatched it, maybe just because I watched it again. But she uses that. She says, you just watch this shit go down. Don't you dare say you're not motivated. Like, you gotta be motivated. Like, deep down, you're motivated. And I was like, well, that's true. That's very true. Like, you could kind of use that against him, because he did experience that. She's like, use that pain and that anger. So, but when she gave props to Mon, I was like, all right, you got the hardest rebel of all, respecting Mon. So, I don't know, man. I loved it. This episode was absolutely insane. It really did feel really cool about the internal spy network that Bale has. And the fact that Cassian has to get Mon out after her speech. Yeah. How'd you feel about episode 9 and this whole setup and effect of it all?
Yeah, it was great. It was great. Like you said, very political thriller-esque. Again, like, some of the writers from House of Cards have felt very, very House of Cards in that respect. And then, well, for one, like you said, the anticipation leading up to the speech, how there were, like, as soon as she started giving the speech, there were other politicians who immediately started booing, like, at the sight of her even mentioning genocide. I low-key feel like that was some of our audience tonight. No, I'm kidding if you're still watching. But no, like, I feel like, it's just like in the real world, you mentioned what's happening and the reality of some of these countries and reality of Gaza, reality of Palestine, and immediately get met with dissent. People are complacent with the empire, complacent with authoritarianism and fascism. So it's just like, being able to stand up to that and being vocal about that. Again, speaking to politicians, like current politicians like AOC, Jasmine Crockett, like all these women who are standing up against it. And dropping the name, by name, like dropping, this was Emperor Palpatine. And I like how the broadcast cut off right after she said that, like, let the world hear, like, Palpatine's that guy who's responsible for this, for all these atrocities. So Yeah, it was great. It also reminded me of that movie. I don't know if you saw a movie that came out last year, September 5th. That was like about it was like the broadcast of like the terrorist attack that happened at like some 1970s like Olympics or something like that.
Mm, the Munich Olympics, maybe.
Yeah, something like that. I think that's what it was. Yeah, something. But it's also kind of another suspense thriller about like airing something to the public. So it was great. It was great. And it was also great seeing Bix, Mon Mothma had to give a big speech, but also Bix had to kind of have her own like big speech moment at the end too. Kind of, separating from Cassian. So that's kind of heartbreaking in and of itself.
Yeah, before we get to that, obviously his escape was really cool. I loved him trying to get Mon out and
Oh
just
yeah.
walking with her and
Yeah.
stuff like that. That was cool. I love the call to the driver.
Oh yeah, it's like what's his
Uh,
name? Cloris?
yeah, yeah, yeah. He's like, Clarence, come here, man, come here. Just
Yeah.
shoots him.
Yeah.
I love that. That entire escape scene was awesome. I loved it.
The sets for that were
Yeah.
absolutely insane. Like again, the
Yeah.
halls that they're walking down, all them stairways was
Yep.
crazy. Yeah, it just looked really, really cool.
And then the fact that, so for any Star Wars nerds out there, this is where I connected. This leads into Rebels, I think it's season three. It's called Secret Cargo, where the Rebels crew helps the Gold Squadron take Mon Mothma to Yavin, and they have to do this little aerial fight in the air. I'm kind of sad they didn't bring that up. I think that would have been even cooler. But the fact that we
Really?
did get that little connection, because Ezra mentions Mon's speech at the Senate, and he's like, "Yo, Mon called out Emperor Palpatine for the Gorman Massacre," and he literally says it, and then this episode connects to it. So shout
Oh,
out to Rebels. Yeah, this connects directly to it. So when they say there's a ship waiting for her, that's them up in
uh,
So they're connecting that, and when they say she's going to make a speech, do you want to hear it? That speech is given in Rebels. So she gives that speech, which is called the beginning of the Rebel Alliance, or something like that. That's the
uh,
name of the
it's
speech.
the same like words
Um,
and everything too, or
no, 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 no. She
uh,
gives a speech in the Senate, and then the episode
uh,
starts out with Ezra going, "Yo, that went hard. That was a good speech
oh,
about the Gorman Massacre and Emperor Palpatine being who's responsible."
mm,
Ezra says that. They don't actually show the speech that she says.
okay,
But then it connects at the end of the episode when they bring her to Yavin. She gives a speech
uh,
uh, in outer space, and she broadcasts it to when they say we need a broadcaster speech. That's the one that connects to it. So shout out to that moment, because I do feel like for Rebels fans, it's like we need it. We need any kind of breadcrumbs, bro. Because it's no fair that this crew is doing all this work. They're the hardest of them all, man.
yeah.
The Rebels crew are the hardest one, so they definitely need some love.
Yo,
When it comes to that. Yeah.
that's dope. I didn't even realize that connection,
Yeah.
and then I didn't even know the Gorman Massacre thing was like a popular
Yeah.
lore event too. So, yeah, I mean, I just thought Andor was just free balling, like just
Yeah.
laying up like just dope storylines like originally. But yeah, the
Yeah.
fact that they're actually tying us into some real Star Wars history is kind of
Canon.
amazing.
Yeah.
Canon, yeah, it's dope. It's dope.
Yeah, it's awesome. And then obviously, let's get to the big stuff, man. This stuff was crazy. Because at first I was like, all right, I get this. This is tough. But last night I seen it again. I was like, yo, this is so horrifying, man. It hit me hard, bro.
Mm.
How'd you feel about that Biggs speech and that Biggs goodbye?
Yeah, no, it was tough. It was tough. I mean, she wants to fight the cause, but she wanted to fight it differently.
Mm,
The way this whole like Cassian coming and leaving, and being back and forth, doing things, kind of moving on his own. Yeah, just not conducive to the kind of way she's trying to. She's also still trying to fight. Like she
mm.
made that clear, but she's having like her own kind of rebellion. And honestly, after everything she's been through, it's I understand. You know what I'm saying? I understand. Now I don't know if she's coming back for the final arc. I don't know if I don't know, we could speculate on that. You already know. You already seen it. But I mean, it kind of makes sense because we don't see Bix in Rogue One. So I wonder. Hopefully, she's living a good, peaceful life on for the rest of her life or whatever. Or maybe she comes back in these last three. And hopefully, I mean, I hope she does not get killed off. I hope she lives peacefully on
Oh
her own.
yeah,
Yeah.
for sure. I hope so too. And it's one of those things too where I saw it more as her kind of like letting Cassian be. where she says like, "I'm gonna let you keep doing what you need to do in the empire, in the rebellion. I'm sorry, and I don't want to be like weighing you down in any kind of way. I'm gonna make sure you have your full capacity and you don't have to worry about me, kind of thing. Which is something we've seen before, but I feel like it worked. I can't lie, man. If as the biggest Buffy fan there is, and for any Buffy fans out there, I don't know how many there are, but there's an episode like this in Buffy the Vampire Slayer where Buffy's running after her boyfriend, where he's leaving as well. It's the exact same run. Like where they're leaving off, he's leaving off in a helicopter, and in this one she's leaving off in a plane and running after him. And I was like, no, not the Buffy run, man. That's crazy. When you start running after her at like the airport scene or something like that, you've seen like in a rom-com where it's like, go after her, and he's like, da, 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 trying to find. You know what I'm talking about, right?
Yeah,
Like
at the end, yeah.
that trope where it's like, you come on, man, that's the love of your life, go after her, and he like runs after her at like an airport or something. Um, yeah, that's I just felt that moment. I definitely felt it in that scene because Cassian definitely feels it. Yeah, man. Overall thoughts on these past three episodes, man. Any final words? Any final thoughts?
Final thoughts, man. They're great. Andor continues to be the best show on Disney Plus. I believe episode 8 has like a 9 point something, like it's like a 9.8 or 9.7 on IMDb already. So one of the highest rated episodes ever. You know, I think people haven't given this show a chance because of like it's not a lot of the traditional Star Wars stuff like lightsabers and all those kind of things. Wait, but we did see a little bit of the Force too, though. Like I forgot to mention that. Like the messenger.
Yeah, we did. We skipped that scene.
Yeah. Biggs takes him to a messenger to look at the blaster scar.
To a healer.
To a healer. To look at the blaster scar, and she kind of implies, you know, she's Force sensitive and might be feeling something, you know, some sort of energy illuminating from Andor. So that's really, really cool. Teasing.
I love that scene. I thought that was so cool, man. The fact that she like pointed him out and was like, "Yo, you different, man. I can tell you through the Force that you different." I love that scene. I thought it was really cool and a really cool way to incorporate the Force in a very Andor kind of way, right? Like it felt natural to the show.
Right. And yeah, Andor's skepticism. Of course, he like doesn't believe any of that stuff at all. That's not how he rolls. So yeah, it was great seeing that. But you know, it's not the most commercial Star Wars show. It's not the most whatever, you know, lightsabers and spaceships and all that kind of stuff. But to me, it tells the story. It is the best in terms of storytelling that we've gotten in the live action so far in these episodes. This set of 3 episodes were my favorite set of 3. That I'm always gonna go back to as a set of 3. Again, there's some episodes like episode 7 and 8 of, you know, season. Actually, my bad. I don't know when the prison escape episode. I don't know if that was 8 or 10. That was something in season 1. But whenever the prison escape happened, that was my favorite episode of that one. But yeah, beautiful stuff. Real quick in the comics, shout out to Eric Elliott says this definitely works as a metaphor for Gaza and American Empire. The protesters say the galaxy is watching, like, you know, like the world is watching, basically, like how they're.
That's a good point.
Yeah, very, very on the nose. Kevin Davis said, "I do hope people give Ironheart and Wonder Man a chance on Disney Plus." Absolutely. I think Ironheart's going to be. I think Wonder Man's going to be phenomenal because of course, Yahya Abdul-Mateen II. And Ironheart, Ryan Coogler is behind that. You know, I don't know if he's directing any episodes of that, but I know for sure he's producing Ironheart. So I think that's definitely going to be special as well.
Yeah, fingers crossed they do well for sure. Yeah, man, I gotta echo your thoughts. I love these 3 episodes. I love the relevancy of Andor. I love the boldness of the show. I love its ability to tackle subjects that, again, we're seeing now more than ever. And again, all this is, as I said before, it is a repeating of history, but at the same time, we have to acknowledge that as we're seeing this repeat of history, we have to be able to call it out. because I do feel like a lot of stuff is weighing currently on our heads, on our shoulders, that probably wasn't weighing on people beforehand like it is now. Whether it's the advance of technology, whether it's the escalation and the overtness of capitalism that has kind of weighed on us to the point now that we just don't have the ability to focus on genocide and war and authoritarianism and fascism. Like, we just kind of ignore it and just let it be. And we have to make sure that we're trying to wake up, because even though we have a different world on our hands, we want to make sure that it's the right world and we're not just letting this stuff happen. So shout out to Star Wars and Andor for breaking that down, and hopefully it'll wake some people up. Hopefully, fingers crossed.
Yeah, indeed.
Yep. Alrighty, guys. For the Sabacc the Block crew, we're gonna peace out. RB3, where can everyone find you, man?
Oh wait, hold up, I'm tripping. Yeah, you can follow me on Twitter and Instagram at Director RB3. If you're watching First Cut right now, we have memberships. We have memberships available. So please consider supporting us. That will help us out so much, because we need hands on deck here. But yeah, follow me, Twitter, Instagram, Director RB3, and follow First Cut TMO on Twitter and Instagram.
Yeah, we hit that 6, bro. We did it.
We hit the 6K. We here.
You can follow me at Squad Leader Ace on Twitter and Instagram and Threads sometimes. But yeah, make sure to subscribe to First Cut if you haven't yet already. Leave us a comment about what you thought of the episodes, and show some love. Show some love with subscribing, with memberships, all that good stuff. Either way, guys, for the Sabacc the Block crew, we're going to be peacing out. So peace, deuces.